What do we want to talk about? The news or just games we've been playing first? What are you feeling?
Why don't you talk about the games you've been playing? Because I know you've been hyped up for one of the games that you've been.
Okay, so you guys know I was playing the Shadow of War, new Lord of the Rings game. I'm done with it. I'm not done with it. I'll go back eventually. I've been playing Evil Within 2. It is incredible. Evil Within 2 is incredible. It is easily top 3 game of the year so far for me. Personally, he just made a really weird face at me. But yeah, I love it. I mean, it's right up my alley. I love detective stuff. I love it. I love horror games. It's my favorite genre of games, survival horror. This is the perfect mixture of an open world and a linear story that I've ever played.
Okay.
Some games they like to try and get their hand in both of I want an open world, but we also just want to tell a quick story,
Yeah, I got you.
And usually it turns out they make an open world that's really boring and it's kind of small. This is there's a lot of stuff jam-packed into a smaller open world environment, but there's lots of stuff to do in the world. And then you go through chapters and then it's just a linear hallway level,
Okay.
But
yeah,
then
I
you'll
gotcha.
go back to an open world type environment. It's awesome.
So
What? Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. So if say someone is new to the series and you want to get into it, what is the best way to get into it, in your opinion?
I mean, just watch a recap of the first game.
Recap of the first game.
Just watch a quick recap. There's some story stuff that would be a little confusing. Definitely a little confusing if you hadn't played the first game. But if you just watch a 5-minute synopsis of the first game, just play it. You don't need to play the first game. I like it a lot, but it's definitely hard to play now. So yeah, I would just say just go right into this one.
All right.
But yeah, it's awesome. When we do our little award show at the end of the year, it could be up there for me. Could make the top cut, really.
The game of the year.
It could, honestly, it really could, which I don't think it's going to do for very many people, if any. But I like it that much. I've already sunk so many hours into it, a lot. I'm trying to do everything though, collect all the stuff. Yeah, it's incredible. It's not super scary, which would be probably my only complaint about the game so far. I like a very scary game, and it's not scary at all, really.
Okay.
There's a couple moments that are a little scary, but for the most part. There's also, holy hell, I almost forgot. There's a character in this game, and this is probably going to be the reason it doesn't win Game of the Year. There's a character in this game that might be the worst in any game ever.
I think they might have contention with Be Fresh and 2K.
All right, Be Fresh is
Be Fresh.
Honestly, imagine Be Fresh,
Yeah.
but Latin American in a horror setting.
Ooh.
Bad, dude. It's real bad. Because Be Fresh, at least she's in not a serious game. It's a sports game. This character is in a very serious, scary environment talking like Be Fresh.
Ugh. Ugh.
It's awful.
That's a nightmare.
Her name is Torres, for any of you who are also playing the game. If you don't agree with me, let me know what you think. She's god-awful. One of the worst characters ever in a game. There's a moment... So you wake up, and no spoilers, I'm not going to give too much information, right? You get knocked out, and then you wake up in this house, and she's shooting a gun. You've never seen this character before. So you wake up, and she's there shooting at zombies, right? Kind of zombies. And then it's a scene where you're in a house, and you have to kill all the zombies as they try and attack the house, right?
Oh, God.
It's a horde survival type moment. And you're shooting the zombies, and she'll do little comments she's a funny character,
Yeah.
And then there's a moment where I headshotted one of the zombies and killed it, and she is "That was great," and I had to pause it, and I
You went to bed.
I went brain dead for a minute because it was
After that, I would just go to bed.
it was what are you? Why would you write that in your game?
I guess that's...
The rest of the game is all serious.
Right.
And then you have this character who says these little stupid one-liners, and every line has at least 2 curse words in it, which I don't care about. I curse all the time. But it's just not funny. It's awful. That character probably is the reason it's not going to win Game of the Year for me. But let's move on. Wolfenstein 2
Wolfenstein 2
comes out I'm so excited. I know you're not excited, really.
No, and I'll tell the reason why, and this is gonna be a funny story. So, back when we were in middle school, me, Peter, and Josh, who's one of our friends, Peter told us to get the game Wolfenstein. I can't remember which one it was.
It was the awful Xbox 360 one. I don't even remember the subtitle. I think it was actually just called Wolfenstein.
It's just like a remake, right? Of like the.
It was a remake. It was kind of a remake. If you guys played it, it's not very good. I think it's fun. It's not very good. But I told these guys to get the game.
You know, this is gonna be the game of the year to get the game, and we ended up hating it.
I was
Definitely not a game.
I was the only one who liked it. But Wolfenstein: The New Order, which came out 3 or 4 years ago, is legitimately a great game. I think most people agree that that's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't play it, but I've watched a couple of the walkthroughs. So
the new one is gonna be edit. I can't wait. That's all I wanted to say. I just want to tell you guys I'll be talking about it soon because I'm gonna get it. NBA 2K, no. Do you have any updates?
They're still working on it, according to LD2K.
A game that's been out for almost 2 months.
They're still working on they're very close to fixing the East and West Coast connection problems that affects Pro-Am right now. So we're still trying to find out the answers there. But speaking about Be Fresh earlier, and this is going to go on to what I have an issue with 2K, and that is the fact that advertisement, I think, has ruined this game. And I think Chris Smoove puts it elegantly playing the Mountain Dew challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone would love to have that matchmaking feature back, where you don't have to like wait in line.
Okay.
And kind of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because an NBA's case here is that they think that by plastering Mountain Dew all over the place and on the court,
yeah,
that it's going to satisfy the advertisers. But my thing is that, and Chris Smoove made an excellent point, you get all this new money from these advertisers that you've never had before, and you still have a game where it feels like no one has tested it, and it still has bugs and glitches that are unfixable even till this day, and it's already been a month plus since the game has come out.
Well, the crazy part about it, like from a business perspective, it's so poor because it's just very short-sighted planning because you have this game everybody bought because the last ones are pretty good, and they're definitely the best basketball game on the market before this year, which it might not be true anymore, really. I mean, NBA Live's still not great, but
they're working on it.
This 2K18 is pretty awful, So you have all this new advertiser money for this game because people thought it was going to be good. So you got the money, you made a ton, but next year when people don't want the game as much as they did this year, you're not going to get as much advertisement. It's just very flawed, Their profits are going to be up this year, but then next year come time for NBA 2K19, they're going to be in the toilet.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand about it too. And I don't understand why the microtransactions are there, because if you have sponsors that you've never had before, like Reese's Puffs, your Mountain Dew, I think they've had Mountain Dew, but just having Mountain Dew there, having your Ruffles chips on
the Ruffles.
I mean, this is going to be a little bit off topic, but still with 2K. I remember I showed you the video of Ronnie and LD when they were live streaming, and literally all across the box, they were pretty much surrounded in Ruffles chips.
It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
The worst brand advertisement ever. I mean, if it was blatant, it was severely blatant.
I mean, it wasn't even like funny bad. It was just bad. Like, if they had emptied all the bags of chips onto the floor and all over them, it would have been kind of funny. But they didn't do that. It was just bags on fancy stands all over the place.
Yeah, it basically looked like a supermarket stand of Ruffles chips.
Like they took like the giant NFL Sunday chip stand that they put in every grocery store, and they just put their chairs in the middle of it. That's basically what it was.
Exactly. But going back to the point, they made so much money. There's no reason why these transactions that they have and why they're so stingy on VC makes absolutely no sense because of the advertisement money that they've gained and garnered through these new sponsorship deals. It makes absolutely no sense as to why we have to play almost 200 games and I believe I can't even remember how many hours, like 200 hours, just to even get our guys to like an 86.
That's nuts. I mean, so for me, it's just like I feel like you get the excuse to have one of those things in your games. You know, like you get the excuse of like, oh, this is a big game. If you want to have advertisers in your game, that makes sense.
Right.
You know, if you want to have microtransactions in your game and nothing else, that makes sense. But you can't have all of it. Like you can't have it all. EA or not EA.
2K.
2K. You can't have it all. 2K. You can't have all this money coming in from these things that people don't really like, but they put up with because they understand. Most people understand that these companies need to make more money than just the sale of the game. That's the reason that there is such a thing as microtransactions. But when you have microtransactions and the ads, it's just like, it's almost inexcusable because they don't need that much. They're putting out a basketball game. The graphics are a little bit better. Everything else is the same, except maybe a game mode or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the only thing that gets different is like the gameplay at some points, trying to make it a little bit more loose, more free in some aspects, and not so linear and robotic in certain aspects. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that you still have this broken game. I mean, you have the resource behind you to actually make this, and it's not even just the my player game mode itself.
Yeah.
It's just everything around it in terms of the connections, and different game modes. Where I think in my team where you just foul, and I think you foul a couple times and then you're out of the game. Like how does that make any sense?
That's stupid. You shouldn't ever be able to foul out. I don't agree with that. How can you foul out in a video game? Just have some sort of penalty in the game. It doesn't make sense. Why would you have a game mode where your players can literally, the people who are playing the game can be kicked out of the game and just have to watch? That's so dumb. I always got fouled out in NBA 2K. That's why I'm so angry about it, because I play like that. But still, it's stupid. Yeah, well, this is the last thing I want to talk about. You showed me a clip, too, from the Chris Smoove video, where in the My Player, the court game, there's literally other people running through the game.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that happening on, like, Call of Duty? Like, just another game, like, characters or people playing a different game are all of a sudden in your map and you guys can't interact with each other?
Yeah. It's just dumb to me. It just
Busted.
It tells you that 2K really did a poor job in making a good game when they just wanted to make a cheap McDonald's meal type of game.
Yeah, they wanted that Happy Meal.
With the crusty cheese, moldy cheese, all.
I like McDonald's. That's a.
That's a discussion for another day.
I just admitted to that. All right, are we done with 2K now?
I think we're done with 2K no, but we have to talk about another situation, especially with loot boxes that are affecting a publishing company, and I think you'll go more into detail about it.
Yeah, so Visceral, it's a video game studio. They work for, it's an EA subsidiary company. Honestly, I love Visceral. They've made some of my favorite games.
Yeah, Dead Space.
Dead Space series is like, honestly, in my top 10 of all time. I love it. Dead Space 2 might be in my top 3 games of all time. That's how much I like it. They were brought on to make Star Wars. I don't think they ever said what the subtitle of it was going to be. It was a Star Wars third-person serious game, like a Uncharted style of Star Wars game. And they just closed down this week.
Yeah.
EA bled them dry.
EA, just like the farmer they are, they just milk that cow dry to where there's no milk left.
Picked all that corn, burned down the field.
Yeah, it's just sad to see that EA is very... they just ruin these companies by just...
But it's the video game industry right now is so... I don't like it right now. Because it's like, you either have these giant companies like EA or Blizzard, but Blizzard doesn't do it to the... Blizzard is owned by EA, I believe. So, but they're kind of on their own still. You know, they make their own decisions, really. Okay. But a company like Visceral, who's a small company, so they don't necessarily get to do whatever they want, but they're owned by EA. And EA is definitely telling them what they should make and how to make it.
And using, I believe, their Frostbite game engine for every game.
So, how does EA still have money for, like, I feel like it's a give and take situation. So, you can either go and be purchased up by one of these giant companies who's going to bleed you dry faster than you know what to do, right? And push you to put out your game before it's made.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can be an indie developer, which then your games aren't as good.
Right, because there's not a lot of material, not a lot of resources you're putting behind it because it costs so much.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The game industry is it has a lot of there's a lot of changes that need to be made for better games to come out.
Right.
Like I think the 2K as a whole is a very good summation of why the game industry is kind of killing itself right now. Like they're doing good. The video game industry is bigger than it ever has been.
Right.
But financially, when you have companies that have always made a good game like Visceral, how is that company going out of business? Really? There's no reason they should be. They're making a Star Wars game. They have the biggest property from the biggest franchise that any company in the video game industry could have, and you go out of business. That game would have sold so many copies.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's very kind of saddening to see is that Visceral didn't really have a chance to do anything with it. Because I think the thing is, I would rather have a Star Wars game where it's almost like Uncharted than this new Battlefront, especially the first one that we played, Battlefront 1, or just Battlefront. It was a decent game, and I liked it, but the problem I had with it was that it was they didn't have everything in it that I would like.
I mean, there was not really much.
It was kind of bare bone.
Yeah. I did play the new one, and it's incredible. It's incredible. But that's besides the point. I was going to do a little bit. That's why I did the phone thing. I was going to say, like, oh, wait, your game doesn't have loot boxes in it? See ya. You're out. You're fired. We're going to dissolve your whole company. I don't know, man. I hope those guys get good jobs because they're very good developers. I think they made a Battlefield game, too.
Did they?
I think they made Battlefield Hardline, the cop and robber one.
Okay.
You remember that game? Came out like 3 or 4 years ago.
I think I remember it.
I think they made that game too. I might be wrong because they haven't made a Dead Space game in 8 or 9 years, which they should be back on.